it's not a two-way street. And by that, I mean, if you, my dear, committed an offense and were found guilty and you're going to jail, if you said to the authorities, you know what? I'm a dude. I identify as a guy. I want to go to a male penitentiary. Guess what, Drea? Request denied. Why?
Hmm.
Do you think those guards want to be, working around the clock trying to prevent a gang rape? Because that's what would happen. So when it comes to that element of safety, oh yeah, we're for your own safety, Drea, we're not going to allow you to identify as a male and go to a male penitentiary. Meanwhile, if you are a male prisoner and about 50% of them that identify as female, oh, shockers, what are the odds? They are
Sex,
in
right?
the
Yeah.
cooler for sex offenses.
Hmm.
Yep, go on in. And the cherry on this odious Sunday, because I've spoken to some ex-female inmates at the Kitchener Penitentiary. If you're concerned about your safety, you're ignored by the guards. But if you dare misgender the guy prisoner, if you call him a he, him, guess what? You're having your privileges suspended. What kind of a madhouse world are we living in?
Yeah, I don't know. The clown world keeps spinning every day. My job is to look and understand the news, and I'm always like wanting to close my eyes, but I have to keep looking. So I don't know what's going. We have another example here as well. I don't know. Let us know in the comments right now if you have heard of this man yet. His name is Jeffrey Marsh.
Oh,
He's taking TikTok, Instagram, even Twitter by storm. Here he is here. So just in time for International Women's Day here, posing for a sanitary napkins, menstrual napkins and napkins and tampons brand. Okay. And I think the number one sign that you're probably not a woman is holding menstrual pads to your face and thinking it's cute. I don't think women would do that because we know it's not cute. Okay. So there he is there. But what is also shocking about this? I mean, this reminds me a lot of the Daily Wire's chocolate brand, that they put out Jeremy's chocolate in response to Hershey's going completely woke for International's Day and featuring a biological male who identifies as a trans woman as their main face of that chocolate bar. So you guys probably have seen I don't know if we have a picture of it, but the chocolate bars, they say one has the nuts. It's she or her chocolate bars, and one has, or there we go. Thank you. And over 300,000 of those have sold sort of in response to this wokeness when it comes to erasing women. But the other thing about Jeffrey Marsh that is inappropriate to feature him, to collab with him at all, is he spends a significant portion of his time online addressing other people's children and grooming them, coaching them to separate themselves from their parents. I think I put a clip of this, just a short one. We have to play this. I mean, this is so creepy. Look at this.
Hi, beautiful. If you do not have a family that loves you, I'm going to be your family. I am so glad you're here. It is my great honor that you're with me today. I love you so much. Do you know what I love about you? You care so much. You care about justice and fairness and the world. Your sensitivity is so beautiful. I actually think it's the best thing about you. You know what you deserve? Unconditional love, kindness, respect. I see the real you.
Drea, back in the 60s and 70s, that's when we started to shut down our mental institutions, our insane asylums. The idea being there'd been so many pharmaceutical advancements that as long as the patients take their meds on a daily basis and talk about a colossal if, what could go wrong? What I'm saying is if we still had our asylum system in place, he's in a padded rubber room right now. Instead, I guess in certain circles, this is being embraced as diversity and inclusion and equity.
Yeah.
It's I almost have no words. I'm just waiting and hoping and praying that this pendulum is going to swing back one day. I don't know how far we have to go, but and if anyone's thinking I'm being harsh, if you think this is someone who's mentally stable, somebody who poses with a box of tampons next to his face, as you said, Drea, you're right. No real woman in her right mind would do that. Well, how is that something to be proud of? It's just a biological necessity for a fertile woman. And my question to Jeffrey Marsh is, okay, you bought that box of tampons, you're posing with it. What are you using the tampon for? Because you don't get a period. You might come across as a horrible, grotesque caricature of a female, but that doesn't mean you biologically have the functions of a female. That would include getting your period and, thank God, giving birth.
Yeah, I think it's, I can be a better woman than all other women. I think it's a bit of narcissism there. And I just want to jump back to him addressing other people's kids, because I think this is so wrong. And take yourself back to when you were a child and you were mad at your parents over something stupid and you vowed to never speak to them again, and you went into your room. You probably spoke to them like a half an hour later. But just remember that mental state you were in. Now these kids can go right on TikTok, and this man enters their room at that very moment and says, they don't love you. I love you. Come be like me. It's sick.
And also, this sickness, Drea, it's permeating every element of society. Case in point, last Friday, the Toronto Raptors basketball club, they issued a groveling apology. This was because they put a video together with a lot of their players saying why they love women. That's fantastic, because they have a women's themed match coming up later this month. But one of the players praised women for being the only ones that can procreate. That's not a subjective opinion.
Thing.
That's science. Oh, but the Raptors, what about those males out there that think they can procreate? So they actually issued an apology. They scrubbed the video from the internet for just stating a scientific fact. It's kind of funny, Drea, the last 3 years, because of the Wuhan virus, how often were we told to follow the science? They're weird science, but when it comes to biology 101, it's impolite to suggest to men that you cannot give birth. Give me a break.
It's follow the political science.
Yes.
Let's get this straight. It's not the science. Yeah.
So, it's in sports. Several weeks ago, there was a Batman comic that came out. Well, guess what? The Joker is trans. And, he got pregnant. And I couldn't wait to see, how is the Joker going to give birth? Oh, he vomited up the baby, right?
Oh, wow.
I mean, holy Dr. Frankenstein, what's happened to the comics even? I mean, what the point I'm making is that this pro-radical transgender initiative, you can't go anywhere without seeing it. And who's calling the shots? A percent of a percent of a percent of people who, quite frankly, are probably mentally ill, Drea.
Well, gender dysphoria, and the DSM, it is a mental illness, and it's not something to make fun of or to diminish. There are genuinely people, a very, 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 very small percentage of people who feel they're born in the wrong body. Part of the reason so many people are speaking out now is because, like you said, David, this is being pushed on people all the time from as young as age kindergarten, probably younger. And that's the issue, because there is a correlation between that and spikes and all of a sudden people having rapid onset gender dysphoria. At sometimes there's multiple kids in one class now identifying as non-binary or transgender. That is just not consistent with all the data that we have on this condition.
You're 100% right. And the really disturbing part, aside from the destruction of female sports and women prisoners being put at risk because of males being allowed into Canadian female penitentiaries, is this assault on the youth. Lowering the age of consent in order to have a sex change. You know, before I knew her, Lady Menzoid told me that when she was a girl, she hated girl toys. She'd pull the heads off Barbie. She'd play with the boy toys. She climbed trees. Well, back then we had a name for such a girl. She was a tomboy. Today, look at that. I think that's a boy trapped inside a girl's body. Naturally, in future years, Lady Menzoid would blossom into a beautiful woman. But today, I think that behavior, Drea, would justify certain people to fast track a sex change operation.
It trans identifies you. That's not a theory, David. That's fact. Out in BC and much of the West, the SOGI 123 curriculum really does go to kids and say, hey, do you like this type of toy or that type of toy? And if you like this sort of spectrum, you're here and here, you may not be what you look like on the outside, on the inside. They read kids' books about trying to figure out who they are on the inside, whether it be a certain color that doesn't match your outside, all of the stuff that sends kids home. Even kids in my own extended family have come home just super confused. I won't say which member of my family came home, stressed out, a child in kindergarten at the time, confused about what color she was on the inside. Her mom had no clue what her child was talking about, but she was so distressed over the issue. And then she found the book and realized it was just a precursor into saying, hey, you may be born in the wrong body to a 5-year-old.
You know, there's a term for that, Drea. It's called child abuse. That's what that is. And you see these census forms being given to elementary school children, and you got the 184 genders, check the box you fall into. Imagine that. Imagine somebody, say, in grade 4, and they look at this shopping list and say the term pansexual. You know, I think of me in grade 4, I'd say, what, somebody's having sex with pans? You know, cooking utensils? I mean,
nowadays, that could be a thing. That could be a thing.
You know, it's outrageous. And I see here J.K. Rowling, who I think is a hero for taking a stance against what I call transanity. She has said 14, this is radical, Drea, 14 is too young to decide whether to change gender. And you know, the hate online that this woman gets, even from actors in the Harry Potter series of movies who would be nobodies today if they didn't get those roles, have joined the woke mob. And she's been, and I'm sure you get this thrown at you, it's TERF, trans exclusionary radical feminist. It's a derogatory term, meaning that you don't accept trans woman as real woman. Guess what? You know what? I would wear TERF as a badge of honor. That means I'm someone who embraces, as you said earlier, common sense.
Well, Rowling certainly has thick skins. She's been through this controversy before. She has a heart for children, hence her literature. She also does volunteer work, or she has organizations that help children out in big ways. So she's a child protection advocate as well as an advocate for sex-based rights. Now, when she talks about children, I always bring it back to the science. Again, they're focused on political science, but it's simple science to say that age 14 is too young to decide something that changes your body for the rest of your life. That your frontal cortex, which is responsible for reasoning, is not fully developed till around age 25. That's over.
That's a clip from something we call Rebel News Daily. It's our daily live stream hosted by my friend David Menzies, but the show also includes a rotating cast of hosts and special guests, including me. It's a great way for us to talk about the news of the day as the news is happening in an unscripted fashion, and it's an awesome way for you to interact with us as well. We stream every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Mountain, wherever you find Rebel News. See you there.